All right, today we're going to look at rejoice with those who rejoice. Still talking about Jonathan and David. Jonathan was one of the greatest people at rejoicing with his friend, and Saul not so much. And why was that? Because Saul, he was first of all God's choice, and then he disobeyed God, and God removed his favor and his anointing from him. And so when Saul saw David, he knew God's hand was on him, and he didn't like it. But when Jonathan saw David, he also knew that God's hand and God's anointing was on him, but Jonathan chose, I'm going to get behind God's man. I'm going to support him. I'm going to do everything he needs to help him win. He wasn't thinking about, it's going to cost me the kingdom. He was thinking about, how can I get behind God's choice and see him succeed? And you know what? Sometimes we don't share each other's victories because we're jealous, or we covet in our heart because we want that. That's something we were hoping to get, and then that person gets it and we don't. But think about Jonathan. He would have grown up looking at his dad, watching him put the crown on, and thinking, one day I'm going to wear that crown. Sure he did, just like any little boy would. And then along comes David, and he realizes that dream is never going to happen. But you know what? Jonathan chose to celebrate every victory of David's as though it was his own, even when it meant knowing that David was going to inherit something that had originally been meant for Jonathan and Jonathan's children and Jonathan's children's children. And in those days, when a king died and the next king came, they would actually kill all of the people that were related to the king before, because they didn't want any chance of one of their children or grandchildren rising up and trying to overtake the throne. So for Jonathan to become friends with David, not only he was saying, it's okay that I'm not king, but he was saying, I so trust you and this covenant that we've made that I don't fear for my family or my children or my children's children. So Romans 12:15 says, rejoice with those who rejoice. It is always our choice not to just look at ourselves, what we want, did we get it, did we not get it, but to rejoice with those who did and not have that jealousy in our heart. That's so ugly. When we celebrate someone else's victories, it does not lessen our own. In fact, joy becomes more when we share it with someone else. So, going the second mile, we are not going to be jealous and covetous like King Saul. We're not going to be intimidated or threatened when someone else wins. When your friend gets blessed and they get a salary hike, or they get that new car they were believing for, you're going to celebrate it, because you know what? Their win is your win.